Alright, good morning everybody. So, today I am primarily looking for bearish or a bearish move lower. Reasoning for that is we just swept some pretty prominent buy side up here. Yesterday was a one-sided move, as you can see, and typically when we have that happen, um, we can see some form of a retracement the next day, and we've set up a lot of good sell side here in order to do so. So we have these session equal lows that are resting above an hourly fair value gap right here. We have pre-market low that's resting above an hourly BISI right here. And we may want to go up and sweep this one more time because this is CPI high, which is why I wasn't trading pre-market or anything like that in case of a scenario where we open up, rip higher, get people wanting to chase it long because it went up all day yesterday, so it should do it today, quote unquote. Um, So I'd want to see them potentially sweep this, trigger buy stops. We can see that instead of taking this prior to pre-market right here, we engineered more sell side. This is my opening range gap quadrants right here. So I'm a quadrant trader, right? I only trade my PD arrays that are nested on top or with quadrants. And since we're kind of trading in no man's land right now, um, meaning on the higher time frame, like we've expanded so much that there aren't any near-term um, opening range gaps, new day opening gaps. Let me double check that because yeah, so we got a new day opening gap right here that's resting above these relative equal lows, and that's really it. Um, so what that forces me to do is wait for the opening range gap, which is a premium gap, which also supports my um, me wanting to see lower prices first because first 30 minutes, first hour, we like to look for that midpoint, especially when it aligns with our bias. And in this case, it does because we have sell side here, sell side here. So I would expect them to potentially go take this here. I want to be checking ES to see if there's going to be an SMT, like if NQ fails to take this, but ES does. So I want to keep an alert up there, or vice versa with that scenario. Where's the alert? ES has some nice equal lows right here too. Right here and right here is what I see. So yeah, I'm going to be looking for a potential reversal after we sweep this high. And then I like these equal lows. The thing that is tough though is, again, we don't have any quadrants up here. So if I do try and short on something up here, I could wait for a PDA rate to be made over top of the 830 opening price right here, right? I could also measure this because that's a long wick. So yeah, I'm gonna try a couple today if it presents itself, and if it doesn't, no problem. Um, Currently down a little bit on the week, only like $100 across my accounts. So uh, yeah, not really trying to force anything here. But we did take that buy side. Gonna be looking at my 15-second chart. Yeah, we'll try a couple today. Stay under our risk limit, which is max $300 loss for the day. I execute on Top Step X because that's who I'm trading with right now, and that's on my other screen here. So if I do enter a trade, I'll move it over so you can see the executions and stuff like that, because I know that's more fun to watch than just seeing the annotations here. Yeah, you also might be able to hear my cat in the background. She's going crazy. Notice how 930 didn't really have any wick lower to manipulate anything first. It's opened up and only gone higher after a premium gap. So anytime I see something like that, I think people are going to be chasing this, and I don't really have any interest in going long. So nothing to do there. You just sit on your hands, and if the market's just going to keep ripping higher, then that's what it's going to do, and you can't do anything about it. See if we can get a first presented fair value gap formed right here, if it's just going to come straight down. Yeah, that's interesting to me. So if we don't get like a displacement candle right here, it's already kind of looking like high resistance to me because it's not forming inefficiencies yet. When you see a displacement candle like this, you would typically expect that it's going to form a gap. The next candle comes straight down. Happened on all these right here too. So on our 15-second we do have one though, but I don't enter on the 15-second as much as the 1 minute, partly because I don't have as much experience with it. I did do kind of like a little test run last month during March, where I was trading my funds with TopStep, where I was doing a lot of entering off of the 5 and 15-second charts, and I'm definitely able to do it. My loss, my losses occur more frequently, but I can get really, really good risk to reward ratio on those. So it's kind of just a give and take there. But I feel like as I get more experience using this, then I'll be able to use it consistently. But what I do like to use it for, and kind of what ICT has talked about in the 2022 mentorship, is using it for just reading that sub 1 minute price action, looking for those breakaway gaps, looking for just those bullish or bearish signatures in price to then look for um, that continuation on the 1 minute or the 2 minute or whatever it may be. So just using it as like a way to confirm your 1 minute price action is the way that I typically use it. Um, and then sometimes I will enter off of it if I have a lot of conviction for what I'm looking for here. But I mean, if we got something like a inversion of this right here, that's not something that I would take. I would wait to see if we're gonna, hold it and use bearish or have bearish signatures to continue lower, but I'm not gonna like. I'd be looking if I did short this, it would kind of be like a low risk sell in a market maker sell model. So original consolidation right here, move higher, and then if we were to get something like this, it would like closing below here, that would be your low risk sell. But I prefer to not do that. Wait for it to give me confirmation and then get in on something a little bit lower, like that first stage accumulation, which would be okay. But yeah, we are getting that displacement lower here now. See if we can create that first presented fair value gap. 15-second is showing us some movement lower. We got a gap right here that we could use as a draw, creating some gaps over these quadrant levels. So now I'm really looking at, uh-oh. All right, I think the stream cut out for a sec. Hopefully it's still good. Now I'm really looking at this right here. Can we hold the lower half of this, and then can we use this? Hoping the stream's still good. Okay, I think we're good. Yeah, I'm looking to see us hold this. Yeah, we got first presented fair value gap right here now. I want to look and see how we use that. I'm not going to enter off of it yet. I want to see us use it as a SIBI. You know what? If we do hit that, I will enter. Actually, I like what I'm seeing, and I'm willing to take that loss if it happens. And we're overlapping that CPI high right there, so we'll go in a couple cons if it can get me in. And I'll be targeting this sell side right here. Opening range gap highs right with it. So I have a limit set right here. Again, it's not financial advice, it's just what I'm doing.
Order filled.
Alright, so I'm in there. I want to see us hold the lower half of this.
Order filled.
That was a very quick trade. Wow. Alright, so we set that initial high. That was so quick. That was like kind of funny. Alright, now my thing is tweaking out. Um, I, I, I still like lower, so I think we could just be sweeping that initial high right there, because that was really the first swing high that was created on this run up. I'm still looking at this as a Judas swing because it's only gone higher. I can use this to go short again if we go back below. Now that we've swept to that sell side, and it would be a reclaimed SIBI. That's how I would like to use it right now. But if it goes back into this, holds the upper half, and then continues higher, then really nothing I can do here. Because again, I mean, we've set up way too much good sell side here after a day where we only went higher. We have a premium gap with no move lower into the gap, right? Like that's a big draw on liquidity for me there. I won't be going long, to say the least. Because I got no targets, right? I got no, even on the daily time frame, I don't have any targets up here. My next daily target could be like all the way up here. and that's not going to get hit today. But yeah, sometimes when we have large gaps higher, like we have it's about 100, right? Yeah, 100 opening range gap higher. We can go up, create the initial high, go lower, entice people to go short, like myself, right here, take that quick L. Now we have breakout buyers engaged, and shorts just got hurt. So if we can go back lower, that's something that I would want to see. Also, seeing this 15-minute candle though close like that is not something I love. We'd have to have a huge move lower. So we see that first presented, held the upper half. After we closed above, we went down, tapped it, seeing a further move higher. Look how the bodies respected the midpoint of this wick right here. So that's why I had it marked, right? Is because whenever we have a long wick like this, especially on, I like to use it for the daily time frames, but whenever it is created from like a news driver, such as NFP, CPI, FOMC, I'll do the same thing. Is I'll grade it because they'll use those levels right here, and then you're going to want to see those PD arrays that overlap them. That's why I went short on this first presented fair value gap, because it overlaps the high of that CPI. Obviously, we just ripped right through it and then used it as an inversion, but whenever we are ready to go lower, then it should be valid to use as a reclaimed SIBI. Alright, so we've gone through this. I want to see if this is going to be used as a change in the state of delivery. Let's get this cleaned up. Not entering off of that, just seeing if it wants to use those characteristics. There's not like a lower time frame gap overlapping that, which is what I would want to see. We have this wick right here. I'm going to grade that wick. Midpoint is important. If we hit this first presented fair value gap, use it as inversion, and then close above this midpoint, I'm not so confident that this would be used as a change in the state of delivery. It still could, but my confidence level in it would go lower. Alright, so we hit the upper quadrant of it. I'm just going to keep the midpoint on there. It's mainly what I'm focused on. I can't take anything though until we go below this first presented fair value gap. We're about to hit the macro time, 950. All right, so I need to see immediate feedback lower here because now that we've closed above the midpoint of this, makes it a little bit less probability to me. Yeah, immediate feedback. I don't want to see it hang around up here. If it does that, then I'd expect this to be used as continuous inversion. Probably take that high. Again, I have a bias. I'm going to stick with it. It's obvious to me. So look how we opened up on that midpoint there. Yep. So I said if we close above the midpoint of this wick, this change in the state of delivery might not hold, or I wouldn't be as confident in it. But now if we close above, so now I'm measuring from this low to this high, measuring the full order block. If we close above midpoint of that, then there's a very high probability that we go up and take this high, probably in the next candle. All right, so we got to close above that. Um, we could end up seeing something like a three drives pattern if it wants to do that. Another thing I like to do, I'll show you here in a second, is whenever we are in quote unquote no man's land. Why does my trading view keep bugging out? Whenever we are in uh, no man's land here, just very high with no nearby opening range gaps or other gaps that I can frame quadrant levels on, and we're trading far away from today's opening range gap, but I'm still bearish, what I can do is usually that's a sign for me to wait for the opening range gap, or excuse me, the opening range. So from 9:30 to 10 to settle and form, and then I can grade that. And so what that'll do is it'll give me gradient levels that are more near term that I can use, that are right there with the most recent price action. So I'm gonna get that off. I'm gonna get that off. And so that'll happen in 7 minutes when I'll be able to grade that. And then I'll do the same for 10:30. Relative equals right here. I'm going to take this off. Okay, if we can close below this first presented, then they may want to be saving this for later. So I'd view this as a market structure shift right here. So we're about to find out if this is a sweep and then we go up here, or we leave these and this is a shift. Whenever I have gaps that aren't overlapping quadrant levels, like for instance this one right here. Is that a suspension block? It is. So whenever I have something like this, I don't use it to short, since there's nothing that I can anchor it to. Um, I'll just use it to see if we want to have bearish characteristics here, which would then confirm a short if something were to form down here. Like if we were to go up right now, hit this, hold the midpoint of it, and then go down and go below first presented fair value gap, I could use this to short since it is anchored to this gradient. Midpoint's touched right there. Make that purple. So what I'm doing is I'm measuring my opening range, dealing range. I'm gonna get rid of this, but actually I'll keep the midpoint on. So that's that. But I know this first presented is overlapping this, the high of it. It's 10 a.m. If we can close below first presented, I'll give it another try. Because then I would expect this to be a breakaway gap, and that shows me that there's underlying weakness. Got minor sell side here. Okay, not yet. Keep my stop up here. What if I wanted to risk the okay. Volume imbalance here. And then if this closes bearish, we'll be creating a suspension block because there is a difference in these closing and opening prices. Okay, not yet. See if it treats this as an order block. I like this as an order block because it's overlapping that upper quadrant right there. You can see how we tapped it right here and went lower. Looking at my 15-second chart. See if we get a gap created here. I'm going to keep a wide stop, so my stop would be up here. Nothing yet. I like how it's holding the midpoint right here, first presented. I'm recognizing that we have a 15-minute BISI right here, but it's not going to... It might just have to be a little bit more demanding with my stop loss management, but that's not going to take away from my trade and what I'm looking for here. Just closed above midpoint, so if we're seeing good price action, then I'd want to see immediate feedback lower here. These three went up into this order block. Nothing yet, but if we get a close below here, then I would expect this to be a propulsion block. Just remaining patient. If there was a gap on the 15-second that formed here, I could have done it, but there wasn't, so it's not really. I mean, there's a little one right here, but that's not enough for me. It's too close. It's not obvious. Yeah, it held. It's the part where you gotta be patient. Even after just taking a loss, getting stop hunted right here. You don't want to go back in and force your will on the market. I'm just looking at the midpoint right here. We got that immediate feedback that I wanted to see. But as long as we hold the lower part of this, then can't take shorts. That's why you wait. This doesn't need to be a breakaway gap. I would have preferred it to, but I'm not going to short from here because we could, since we're going back up above first presented fair value gap and we're going through this quadrant level, we could just be using this as inversion to then go take these relative equal highs and then potentially go lower. So now I'm looking at this midpoint. If we don't hold this midpoint, then we're going to take these. So this gap is overlapping this. And if I had targets up here, I would long, but I don't want to do something like this. It's just, it's not really worth it to me. We can tape read it, but I want to stick with my bias, and the risk to reward is not good here. And we could get some kind of SMT here since, yeah, ES just took this. I'd be waiting to see if we're going to inverse this. Okay, yeah, so we use this. Sweep a sell side, minor sell side right here, and then the body's held, change in the state through this gradient level. Notice how it overlaps the midpoint perfectly right there. And now that we're closing above this fair value gap, We don't even need to go down and touch this. We might just go up and take this. If it did touch this, though, I would expect it to springboard us higher. But this doesn't change anything for me yet. I can still look for shorts. Just gotta be patient. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. This is a long setup I could have taken. Like since I call this right here, I just like I said, I don't like the risk to reward. And like we could just go up and poke this and then go lower because to me there's just no other buy side targets here. Right? We're just trading in this. Excuse me. All right, took that buy side. Now what we do here is important. I think this could be turtle soup. Still keeping these on here because if we can go back below them, it can be reclaimed. There is a lot of color on this chart though, so I kind of want to make it a little more neutral. No other trades taken yet, just 0 for 1 so far. We called this little move higher, but not worth it, and just sticking with my bias right now. If we can get some movement lower here, then it looks like your classic 2022 model. But so far we are seeing that turtle soup, like I mentioned, sweeping the 10 a.m. high, your opening range high right here. And again, the reason I'm not interested in chasing it is because look how we opened. These are relatively equal to me. And we have relative equals down here too. One-sided move yesterday. So if we haven't gotten anything around by 10:30, then we'll call it. All right, kind of like what I'm seeing here. If we create a gap right here, I'll do a low risk turtle soup, I believe. If I see what I like following the creation of the gap. I'll have to look at like a rejection block up here.
Order filled.
Low risk short here. I want to see a down close candle be created so then we have that rejection block form, and then I'd want to see that hold if the turtle soup works. I gave my stop room to breathe. It's like 794 like up here, so I went very low risk. This will be a $50 loss if it ends up being a losing trade, which it looks like it's just going to keep ripping higher. So I I didn't get what I wanted to see since this gap was created here. I wanted to see this act. I wanted to get a turtle soup up here since it was a sweep of these equal highs, and I'm underlyingly bearish on everything down here as I've previously mentioned. And then since this gap formed, I wanted to get short before we inverse it, just with a very, very low 1 micro entry. But I need to see this down close candle to form to create the rejection block, and then I need to see us continue lower. See if we get that here. And then if we inverse this, then I can add to the position. So it's like a pyramid. And this is what I can do here just so you can see it like I mentioned. I feel like it's more fun for people to see it that way. But then I gotta end up explaining more as to why I'm choosing the fair value gaps I'm using, but you know, what are you gonna do? But yeah, I need to see this act as inversion. I don't want to see us continue higher. This would be a pyramid right here on this inversion. And again, this fair value gap is overlapping the opening range high. And this is the turtle soup that I was trading. And then this is your rejection block. Inverse this would be good. I could move the stop down to this high. See this midpoint right here hold. Be good for the trade. This on the continuous mini contracts, this is a suspension block. So, okay, we just inverse that. So, may sweep, get continuation. If I ever do turtle soup entries, it's always like the lowest risk possible because it's just a way for me to start my position out um, and have the idea of pyramiding. Because if I can kind of like forecast areas where I would pyramid, since I'm so underlyingly bearish, then it's just a way for me to, you know, if we get a sweep of obvious equal highs right here, but we need to see rejection right now or else we're going to get stopped. It is interesting how the market just keeps going higher though, and it's like such a good setup for bearishness, and maybe it'll do it like for the lunchtime macro or something, and just the timing's off right now, but everything is there for me to be bearish, and if we're just gonna continue ripping higher, then at least I'm doing it with low leverage and not getting hurt. Order block, fair value gap.
Order filled.
All right, so I'm out there. Um, very, very low, like very low loss. My balance on the accounts is real low because I just took several payouts. And yeah, now I'm just kind of working with pretty much nothing in the account. So I just got to do much lower risk, but yeah, just very bullish. Typically, it doesn't happen 2 days in a row where it opens up and just continuously rips. I can give it one more try lower, and then I'll have to call it. Just take the L's on the day. But in the next 5 minutes, we're going to have that first hour dealing range at 10:30 right here. And I think this could play a factor. It is frustrating on days where it looks like it could be extremely bearish. Like we have really good bearish targets here, but it just keeps ripping higher. And, those are days where, um, you just kind of got to take it on the chin. But I like that I've used low leverage and the reason I've been able to stay at such a small loss for the day is because I'm focused on building my entries. So I've been taking very aggressive short entries because I was so confident of going lower and hitting these. But I take light entries first, and then as I see price actions start to go in my favor and show me those bearish signatures, then I can add and make the position heavier. But whenever we just keep ripping like this, it's best to like try and pyramid and go for those light entries first and then just keep building it, because if it is going to have a day like this where it just keeps going higher, making higher high and leaving lows, then that happens sometimes, and you just want to keep your risk as low as possible. Like that's what happened yesterday. A lot of lows being left, so I'm not talking about just today, I'm talking about all the way down here. So it makes me think that something is eventually going to come out. Nothing to do yet. Just chilling for now. All right, 10:30 opens. May just end up not taking a trade for the rest of the morning session because uh, just kind of at a spot where I don't really see us getting an opportunity for a while. What was this move higher? Only 150 handles. If we are going to get movement lower, it should happen around now, or if it doesn't happen around this time within the next few minutes, then I would expect it to be like a either a lunch reversal, like a lunch macro reversal, where we can get that classic lunch macro run on stops. So what you would do is you'd find 10 o'clock right here. Oops. And then you would look for your most obvious sell side after that. So we have here, and we have here. Um, so if we don't get anything lower now, then I could expect something like that, uh, probably after 11. And then if that doesn't happen, then I mean, it could just be another one of those days where we just keep ripping higher. And very rarely does that happen 2 days in a row, which is why um, I was just very bearish today because of that. And my technical is aligned with it as well. So I'm not upset by the way that I traded or anything today, um, especially since I've kept risk so low. Like I haven't really taken any damage. So when you're wrong, that's really what you want to do. And since this is a big range, like there's a lot of space between these quadrants, I do want to put on my eighths. Let's kind of monitor how we use those levels. Where's 1030? 1030, right there. So like right here, people who are really, really bearish, and maybe they've taken a couple losses, they're going to try and fight it. And any time we inverse something, they'll try and short and then just keep ripping higher, ripping their face off. And um, that's why you want to be anchoring your fair value gaps to those specific levels. Because there's nothing here for me. And even if there was, like if this fair value gap formed right here, I'd want to see if we can have bearish characteristics and hold the upper half of it and, I'm not going to use this as inversion if we close below. Kind of like that same situation here. I was going to, or I would see if we can have bearish characteristics with it to kind of confirm it. If we can get displacement through this quadrant level, then I could start thinking about it. But we just hit that perfectly. So yeah, now what I would do is see if we can have those bearish characteristics here. We got this one here that was used higher. So I'll actually be focusing on that one. Oops. Alright, so far it's interesting. This guy here. And the reason I like that one is because it was used to push higher and it's also overlapping this. So we close below midpoint of that. See if this will be that change in the state. Then if we could go up here, this is an up close candle. Fails to reach midpoint of this inversion fair value gap, and then we can get displacement through this and close below here. I would expect this to be an order block because it's overlapping this gradient. And in this case, it would actually be a propulsion block because this is your order block, change in the state of delivery. Then another order block going up into that one. But that's given that we've actually shifted lower. Right now, we haven't seen enough yet to confirm that. I think trying to short right now would be a little premature. So far, holding the midpoint here. And we poked up into this SIBI. We got 1050 coming up as well, so just want to keep an eye out for that. I'm watching this 15-second right here. If we just blast through that, then not really seeing the characteristics that I want to see. Midpoint. Notice how we're holding this gradient. Tapping the midpoint of this in a defining spot right here. Yeah, so I didn't really see the follow through that I wanted on this. The potential was there, but we just didn't get it. So it's about knowing what you're looking for and just being able to wait for it. And again, we're in a weird market condition where we can just keep going higher, and I don't want to just force my will on it going lower, so I got to be real patient. Just swept this high. If we could get a sharp move lower now, then it would start to build the narrative of going lower, like get a 2022 model on the 15-second time frame here. But again, that's kind of pushing it, or I guess kind of a reach, because we just keep respecting bullish PD arrays. Um, this is really it right here. Where if we close above midpoint of this, then it's, I think we just keep going higher. Then we see this as a sweep. Pretty boring day. Fortunately, it wasn't more exciting, but it's trading. 10:50 now, so we need to see something pretty convincing. So far, held the midpoint. So where's the midpoint of this? Right there. Okay. So I just measured the midpoint of this. Because if this is going to be an order block, we should not close above the midpoint here. You see we went up into this inversion, tapped it, starting to see movement away from it, but nothing to do yet. If we can create a civvy overlapping here, then I could go short. But I'm also looking at this to see if that's going to act as an order block, because it dug down into this down close candle, which swept this. So this would be your order block right here, And let's see if it held midpoint. Yep. Go above it, go back down. Body's held midpoint. Wicks can do the damage there. Went back up. So this is a propulsion block paired with this little gap right here. Alright, so if we don't go and take this high, I'm going to try and use this as a reclaimed bullish. But if we take that high, then it's off the table. My limit is at the high of this. It might not get hit because of this volume imbalance right here in this BISI. But I'm just, you know. And quite honestly, if this high gets taken without getting me answered, then I'm going to leave the stream. Alright, yep. Well, it got taken on the micro. There we go. Okay, I am calling it there officially because it's just a weird market. It's kind of annoying to trade. Um, Happy that I limited damage here and didn't really have, you know, yeah, again, too much damage to the account. I mean, really like no damage to the account. It was only a minus 150 day uh, per account, and on these types of days, it can be really frustrating for traders to try and short, and just keep getting wrecked all along the way up. And that can happen. I've been there, so that's why you want to limit the damage, try pyramid entries, make price prove to you that it actually does want to go lower instead of taking the first opportunity that's there. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and call it here, guys. Eat some breakfast. And if you tuned in, I appreciate you watching. And we'll talk later.